And we're live. Welcome back to another Corona Geek where we talk all about mobile app development using Corona SDK. I'm your host, Charles McKeever. And today we're going to move quickly. We have with us Dean Murphy, the creator of Crystal, which is, if you haven't been paying attention, there is a lot of action going on in the iOS 9 ad blocker space. He's had the #1 iOS ad blocker in the Apple App Store. And we'll talk about a little bit what that means here in a minute. But he's joining us today, and we're going to talk all about ad blockers, about the ad industry. We're going to talk about consumers. We're going to talk about content creators, and then we're also going to hear Dean's developer story. So Dean, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be back.
Yeah, excellent. Also joining us on the panel is Ed Marina from roaminggamer.com. And we've also got Stephen Johnson from ubalbastudios.com. So Dean, you've been featured on Wall Street Journal and the Next Web and TechCrunch and BBC. It seems like this is an exciting ride.
Definitely a very unexpected ride as well. To get all the publicity that I've got.
I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. There's I know that you've created several apps in the past. There's more than just the ad blocker, and I know some of the people in the Corona community would know you best as the developer of Joke Shake and Number Tap and Number Tap 2 and stuff like that. But I know now you're focused specifically on iOS development. So did you expect at any point you'd be like showing up in the #1 charts on the Apple iTunes?
Not at all. I mean, first thing is, with an ad blocker being so controversial, I didn't know if Apple would actually accept it into their store to begin with. So that was one worry.
Oh yeah, I was a little surprised that they even went that route with ad blockers. Do they call it ad blockers, or do they call it, what do they call it?
Content blocking.
Content blocking. So they don't go so far as to actually say that they're encouraging the blocking of ads. They just give you the ability to block content.
Yeah, and what content you block, depends on what you make. But the majority of content that people want to be blocked tends to be adverts, or
right,
things that take up a lot of space on the screen. And
I'm trying to imagine what would be the other thing that you would block. I guess you could just block images in general. I guess you could block.
Yeah, I mean, for data saving, just all images, all custom fonts. Maybe something like that. If you have low data or something.
Does Crystal do that? Does it do any? Can you turn it on to block just images or anything like that, or is it just focused entirely on ads?
It's just focused on ads and tracking scripts, so stuff that tracks users and profiles them around different websites.
Okay, so for those who don't know, you can install. Tell us how Crystal works. Give us the process of what a user experience is when they install Crystal.
Okay, so you download it from the App Store, you open it, and it gives you 3 simple instructions. You need to go into your Settings app, scroll to the right option, and turn it on. And by turning it on, what happens is Safari will grab basically a big text document, a big JSON document, just listing all the different rules of what to block, and Safari will load that into its memory. So every time you visit a page on Safari, it will run it by this block list and block whatever's necessary.
Okay, and is it just in Safari?
It's just in Safari or any apps that use. This came out on iOS 9, Safari View Controller to view web content. So in iOS 9, Apple released a new type of web view.
So would you think we would ever see it in like Chrome? And does it block in Chrome?
No, because that uses an older version of the web view.
I think that would be interesting, though, right? So really, when we're talking,
I don't think Google will implement it for some reason.
Yeah, maybe not, right? Well, and that's an interesting part of the conversation, right? Is because everybody is, I say everybody, content creators and supporters of the advertising industry and things like that. They all seem to be kind of running around saying, making claims that the sky is falling. What do you think about that?
No, that's the thing. No one really knows what the impact was going to be like how many downloads it's going to have, how many, if people are actually going to use it or not. I mean, Safari, in terms of mobile share, has a very small amount compared to the whole, websites in general. like mobile Safari has a very small percentage of views. Like a lot of, I've heard a lot of news outlets say that the majority of their browsing comes from the Facebook app or Twitter app, which both use their own web view, and both don't. Crystal doesn't work within them web views. So,
Facebook's uses React or whatever, right? They're trying to not use native.
That's right. Yeah, they like to keep you within their own app, keep that experience within the Facebook app, rather than throw you off to Safari every time you click a link that your friend shares.
So really, So really, what we're talking about is blocking content within Safari, which and Safari only on iOS devices.
Yeah, iOS 9. And also it's limited to 64-bit devices, so anything newer than an iPad Air or iPhone 5S.
Oh, okay. So anything older just won't run it?
That's right, yeah. It can't be installed on any older devices because Apple limits it to 64-bit devices just because the CPU is more powerful and more efficient at iterating through a bigger list of, a bigger list every time it loads a web page.
Okay. So this is specific to Safari. Does it block any ads in apps or anything like that then?
No apps, no games, unless they use the new Safari View Controller to show their content. But very few apps are doing that at the moment.
So if there was a time when people did, then I guess that you could block those then from within that. But that would only be, like you say, if there was that one particular view.
That's right, yeah.
Interesting. So, what's the response been like from the community or from users in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very positive because it's had a lot of downloads. Again, going back to what you said before about what kind of impact it has, looking at my download numbers, I'd say mine is probably the most downloaded out of all the apps because it was on number 1 on the paid charts across 30 different countries. But knowing the download numbers, and knowing how many iOS devices are out there, I think it's not really, it's just a little storm in a teacup. It's not really something that the majority of people are downloading.
I saw, I saw on Twitter that somebody did a, what do you call that, the diagram where, they show overlapping circles, and somebody said, here are the people who would install an ad blocker, and here are the people who would actually click on an ad, and they're like, the 2 circles are right next to each other, and they weren't actually overlapping.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about, I guess maybe the focus audience for this. I don't know that everybody knows that it's available. What do you think about that? You think everybody knows that they can install blockers?
Possibly. Possibly not. I mean, it does spread very well through word of mouth because you do get a lot of performance gains by running an ad blocker because a lot of websites have multiple different ad networks attached to them, multiple different tracking networks attached to them. Some in my example have had like 20 different ad networks that it tries to download all different JavaScript files, etc. And in my test across 10 popular news websites, pages loaded on average 4 times faster and use half the bandwidth. So it's one of the things that once you've tried it, it spreads virally because you tell your friends, look at this, look how fast this is now compared to yours, and yeah, that's pretty much how it's spread really.
I know you've done a lot of different polls on your site to kind of get a feel for what people are interested in and stuff. Have you done any sort of informal polls where you just like reach out to your parents or your family and say, do you even know that you can block ads?
Mainly my friends. I've been. My family pretty much know what I'm doing, so it's hard to ask them because I've been telling them about it for the past few months. That's what I've been talking about.
Good. Skewed the results.
But but my friends definitely. I've been telling them about it, and they seem very impressed with it.
Because I would be interested to reach out. I haven't done this yet, but I reach out to my extended family and say, hey, did you know that you could do this? Because I would be curious to know if A, have they even updated to iOS 9, and B, if they even know. Because obviously we're all techies, so we're kind of jumping on the bandwagon for things, but I wonder how much of the general population even knows that they can do it.
Yeah, definitely. It's not something that Apple is heavily promoting. There's a lot of ad blockers that are hitting like the top selling apps, top paid apps. But Apple's not really, over the past couple of weeks, they've not featured any, they've not advertised any on their home screen or anything. So I think Apple's trying to keep out of promoting them, just let them exist in the background.
Right, yeah.
That's my little theory about it. Because being how controversial it is.
Yeah, you're right. That is a good point. And calling it content blockers as opposed to ad blocker kind of keeps them out of the hot water as well. But